in a cylindrical vessel. It is a cylindrical vessel. In this cylindrical vessel, there is a frictionless piston. Here, this end is open to atmosphere. This cylindrical vessel is closed at this end. Here it is closed. Here it is open. Okay, here by means of a frictionless piston, some gas is enclosed in the cylindrical vessel by means of a frictionless piston. So this is the frictionless piston. This is the frictionless piston. Here this frictionless piston is connected to the spring by means here spring having spring constant K. Okay, here it is connected to open end of the cylindrical vessel. Okay, so that air enters into this one, air enters here, and in this here on right side of the piston, air at atmosphere is there, and some gas is enclosed here in this cylindrical vessel by means of a piston. Gas is enclosed here. Okay, initially this gas is at a pressure P1, volume V1, and temperature T1. Initially, the pressure of the gas is P1, volume V1, and temperature T1. Okay. At this instant, whenever the pressure is P1, volume is V1, temperature is T1, the spring is in relaxed position. The spring is in relaxed position. Here, in a cylindrical vessel, some gas is enclosed at a pressure P1, volume V1, and temperature T1 by means of a frictionless piston, which is connected to one end of the spring, and the other end of the spring is connected to open end of the cylindrical tube. Here it is the closed end of the cylindrical tube. Here always air is there, as it is open to atmosphere. Here air at atmosphere is there on right side of the piston. Okay, on left side of the piston there is a gas, because by means of a piston in this vessel, in this cylindrical vessel, some gas is enclosed at a pressure P1, volume V1, and a temperature T1. At that instant, whenever gas is enclosed here, as the piston is under equilibrium, at that time there is no extension or compression in the spring because it is in relaxed position. So at pressure P1, volume V1, and temperature T1, the spring is in relaxed position. The spring is in relaxed position. The spring is in relaxed position. That's why, as the spring is in relaxed position, no force due to spring acts on the piston. Only atmospheric pressure P0 acts on the piston, and here P1 pressure acts on the piston. Even then, there is no displacement in the piston because it is under equilibrium. Means force due to this pressure of the gas and force due to atmospheric pressure, both are equal in magnitude on the piston, and they are in opposite direction. That's why, as the piston is under equilibrium, piston is under equilibrium, force due to gas, that means P1 into A. A is the area of cross section of the piston. A is the area of cross section. Area of cross section. Area of cross section of the piston is say area of cross section of piston, that is say A. So P1A is the force acts on the piston towards side, and P0 into A, pressure into atmosphere into area of cross section of the piston, gives force acts on the piston towards left. Suppose this is the piston, then P1A acts in this direction, P0A acts in this direction. Even then, as the piston is under equilibrium, then definitely P1 is equal to P0. That condition is given indirectly. Okay. Now, from this relaxed, whenever the spring is in relaxed position, at that time, the case is the pressure, the volume of the gas, the temperature of the gas is increased to 41. Here, some heat energy is supplied to the gas so that the temperature becomes T2 is equal to 41. Whenever temperature becomes 41, then the kinetic energy of each and every particle in the gas increases. Due to that, pressure increases. When pressure increases, here, as the pressure of the gas is greater than the atmospheric pressure, definitely this gas pushes the piston towards side. Due to that, volume increases. So here, the volume is increased to. The volume of the gas is increased to 3v1. The volume of the gas is increased to 3v1. So here, whenever the heat engine is supplied, then due to that temperature increase, pressure increase, and at that time, as the pressure increases, this gas pushes the piston towards right. Here, the piston displaces through a distance. That is also given. The piston displaces through a distance equal to x. That displacement of the piston, that is given as 1 meter. No, that is given only x, as x only. Displacement of piston is x. That is given. Displacement of piston is equal to x. That is given. Then what is the work done by the gas in this process? Work done by the gas in this process. Work done by the gas. W gas is equal to question mark. W is equal to question mark. Okay, that is enough. Work done by the gas in this process is how much? Tell me how we can do. Here, whenever the pressure increases, at this position, as the piston is under equilibrium, because of the rise of temperature, pressure increases, and that gas pushes the piston towards right through a distance x, and again the piston is under equilibrium. When piston is under equilibrium in this position, after displacement of the piston through a distance x, again the net force acts on the piston is 0. What is the net force acts on the piston? At this time, the pressure of the gas, whenever the piston displaces up to this one, at that time the pressure of the gas becomes say P2. Let pressure be P2. Okay. Let pressure be P2. Okay, now how we can find P2 value? Here you see, because of this pressure, force acts on the piston. Whenever the piston displaces by a distance equal to x, in such case, on the piston, what are the forces? On the piston, what are the forces? Force due to pressure P2 acts in this direction, that is P2A. Force due to atmospheric pressure P0A acts in this direction. And whenever the piston displaces towards right, the spring is compressed now. Okay, the piston displaces through a distance x. That's why spring is compressed by x. No, that's why spring force is developed that pushes the piston towards left. That's why spring force also acts in this direction. Under equilibrium, net force is equal to 0 means this force is equal to sum of these two forces. So P2A is equal to P0A plus K into x. This is equation 1. What about P2 value here? What about P2 value? In order to find P2 value from ideal gas equation, P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2. P1 V1 by T1 you keep like this only. P2 we have to calculate. V2 means 3V1 by T2 means 4T1 is there now given. It is given 4T1. So T1 T1 cancel. So V1 V1 cancel. Therefore, P2 is equal to P1 by 4P1 by 3. P2 is equal to 4P1 by 3. P2 is equal to 4P1 by 3. Okay, this is equation 2. Therefore, you substitute here. Actually, it is not P1. It is actually P1 is equal to P0. No? That's why we can write this is equal to P1 also. This is equal to that is equal to P1 into A also because P0 is equal to P1 now initially. So now you substitute this P2 value in this equation. So 2 in 1. Here P2 means P2 4P1 by 3 into A is equal to P0 means P1 we can write A plus K into X. Since P1 is equal to P0. Therefore, Kx is equal to what? Kx is equal to, you bring this to left. Then P1 A by 3 you will get. This is equation 3. Now work done you calculate. Therefore, work done by the gas is equal to, you see, whenever the gas is expanded like this, work is done on the surroundings. Because of that, when work is done on the surroundings, you see, whenever the piston displaces in this direction, the mass of the piston is negligible. That's why in displacing the piston, there is no work done. But whenever the piston is displaced here, spring is compressed. That's why work done to compress the spring. Work done on the spring and work done against the atmosphere pressure, because atmosphere pressure try to pushes the piston towards inwards. But the gas does work and it does work against the atmosphere pressure and displaces the piston to a distance x. That's why work done by the gas is equal to work done on spring, work done on spring plus work done against the atmospheric pressure. Work done against atmospheric pressure. Work done on the spring means half k into x square plus work done against atmospheric pressure means here definitely whenever the piston is displaced here, to move the piston against the atmosphere pressure, the gas exerted. The gas does definitely P naught in P naught A is the force. In order to displace the piston against the atmosphere pressure, the gas has to exert this amount of force. Okay, into here, as the P naught is constant throughout motion, P naught is constant throughout motion, the same amount of force is applied by the gas on this one. Of course, the total force applied by the gas on the piston is equal to P2 into A, in which a part of the force is utilized to compress the spring and a part of the force is utilized to displace the piston against the atmospheric pressure. Okay, that's why P naught A is the force applied by gas on the piston to displace it to a distance equal to x. That's why work done against the atmosphere pressure is this one. So half k x square plus P naught means we can write P1 into A into x. Okay, now from this Ax, what about P1 A value? Here you see half k x square plus P1 A can be written as 3kx. 3kx into already x is there. That is equal to half kx square plus 3kx square. So that is equal to 7kx square by 2. 7kx square by 2. So now we have to substitute this work done with the gas in terms of pressure P1, V1 like that only. So from this we have P1A. How we can write in terms of Kx must be substituted in terms of P1 and V1. Okay. Under equilibrium, we have Kx is equal to, from this formula, P2 is equal to, we have substituted Kx is equal to, we got this one. Okay, now, how we can convert the Kx square in terms of P1, V1? Kx square in terms of P1, V1. Here, one more relation is also there. Change in volume. This is the fourth one. Change in volume, you see, whenever the piston is displaced here, final volume already given. Initial volume we know. So change in volume delta V is equal to, we can write V2 minus V1. That is equal to, change in volume means area of cross section here, as the piston is displaced to a distance x. Then change in volume is equal to area of cross section into displacement. That gives the change in volume. No? Initial volume is this one. Final volume is this one. Change in volume is this one. So change in volume of the gas is equal to the volume through which the piston is displaced. Okay, that's why this is equal to area of cross section to displacement of the piston. V2 minus V2 means 3V1. V2 is 3V1 minus V1. That is equal to A into X. Okay, therefore Ax is equal to, we can write to 2V1. Okay, if you now we substitute this value. So from this, therefore, W is equal to 7 by 2. From this formula, Kx can be written as, instead of 1 Kx, you write P1A by 3 into one more X is there. Here one more X is there. Instead of X only, I have substituted P1A by 3. One more X is there. Instead of X, we can write 2V1 by A. No? So 2V1 by Here this A cancel. Okay, 2 cancel. Therefore, work done is equal to 7 P1 V1 by 3. In this way, we can calculate the work done by the gas, replacing the piston through a distance equal to x against the spring force against the atmospheric pressure. Okay, what is the work done by the gas on the spring? Means half kx square only. Whatever the work done on this work done by the gas on the spring, that amount of work done is stored in the spring as the potential energy. What is the work done by the gas against the atmosphere? That means P naught A into x only. P naught A into x is only the work done by the gas against the atmospheric pressure. Okay, note down. Four P1 in Nana. What is 4P1? Arush, Anush. What is 4P1? Anush, what is 4P1? Third equation here 4P1A by 3 minus P1A. That means P1A by 3 only, no? Third point. Okay. It is another example I have written. Okay. Or we can write C. Or today I started the new problem again by taking this temperature 41 and volume 31. In yesterday, we have taken T2 is equal to something and VT is equal to 2 something. But here the data is changed, That's why you can treat this as the new problem only. Okay. Next, what is the heat energy supplied in this process? What is the, because in order to raise the temperature from T1 to 41, we supplied some heat energy. What is the heat energy supplied? That is the question asked. What is the heat energy supplied? Of course, in this case, this is same. This does not change because same problem now. So Kx is equal to P1A by 3. That is constant. Okay, this is a second one. Same equation I use. So in this, we have calculate what is the heat energy supplied. Heat supplied in this process. Q is equal to question mark. To find the heat energy supplied, we had to calculate the increase in the change in intensity or increase in intensity because temperature increases and amount of work done W. So from this equation, first already work done we have calculated. So change in intensity. Whenever the gas, whenever the piston displaces from this position, gas is expanded. So whenever the gas is expanded, what is the work done by the gas? We have calculated. Okay. And if you know the change in intensity, then what is the heat energy supply we can calculate. So change in intensity we have to know. What is the formula for change in intensity? What is the formula for change in intensity? What is the formula for change in intensity? Because initial temperature, final temperature, both are known. And moreover, what is the type of the gas that is also mentioned? I think it is the monoatomic gas. Here, the gas is the monoatomic. Monoatomic gas means gamma is already known. So gamma is equal to 5 by 3 now for monoatomic gas. So we know. Yeah, NCV-dt. Very good. NCV-dt. NCV-dt. Okay, number of moles of the gas used here is, number of moles is also given, I think. Okay, number of moles is not given. N moles you have to take. So N into Cv means R by gamma minus 1 into dT means final temperature minus initial temperature. Okay, Nr T2 means T2 is equal to 41 in this case 41 minus T1 by gamma means 5 by 3 minus 1. So that is equal to 3 Nr into 3 T1 by 2. Okay, that is equal to 9 by 2 Nr T1. But we know at initial stage, whenever the pressure is P1, volume is T1, V1, temperature is T1. So since P1 V1 is equal to Nr T1, we can write now according to ideal gas equation. Okay, instead of Nr T1, we can write P1 V1 because answer is given in terms of P1 V1 only. That's why 9 by 2 P1 V1 we can write. It is the change in energy. Therefore, net heat energy supplied is equal to delta U plus W. Delta U means 9 by 2 P1 V1 plus work done in this process is equal to 7 P1 V1 by 3. Now we take LCM 6. So 27 P1 V1 plus 14 P1 V1. Therefore, heat energy supplied is equal to 41 P1 V1 by 6. 41 P1 V1 by 6. That is the answer. Okay, this is the amount of heat energy supplied in this process. In this way, we have to do the problem. If string is given like this. Okay, note down. Suppose if string is not there, then the pressure is always remains constant. When heat energy is supplied, then pressure increases. Immediately the piston displaces and pressure of the gas is maintained, which is equal to atmosphere pressure only. Because there is no spring force now, only atmosphere pressure acts. If the piston is under equilibrium means definitely even heat energy is supplied. If the piston is under equilibrium at this position means the pressure here and here both are equal. That means atmosphere pressure only. Always the pressure of the gas reaches atmospheric pressure. So at constant pressure, as the piston displaces at constant pressure, isobaric process takes place. In isobaric process, what is the heat energy absorbed means NCP dt. No, by that formula we can calculate. Okay, their work is negative. No negative because gas expands. No, work is done by the system on the surroundings. Gas expands and work is done by the system on the surroundings. Work done by the system on the surroundings is positive only. No. Work done by the system on the surroundings is positive because gas expands. If the gas is compressed, work done on the system, that is negative. Gas compressed, work done is said to be done on the system, that is negative. If the gas expands, work is done by the system on the surroundings, that is positive. Here, work done by the spring force means that is negative. Spring force one is work on whenever the piston displaces here, the spring force acts in this direction, whereas the spring is compressed. In such case, work done by the spring is negative. Work done by the spring is negative. Okay. Work done by the atmosphere. Work done by the atmospheric pressure on the piston, that is negative. ఇక్కడ మనం ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తుంది work done by the gas on the surroundings. Work done by the system they asked. As the gas expands, work done by the system is positive only. Okay, Sidhu. Sidhu, are you understood? Okay. Shall I raise this one totally? Shall I raise this one? Fine. Okay, next. One more example. An ideal gas of molar mass capital is contained in a vertical tube of height capital H, closed at both ends. Here, in a closed vessel, cylindrical vessel of height H, height of the cylindrical vessel is capital H. It is filled with ideal gas of molecular weight. Molar mass means molecular weight. So molar mass is called capital. Here, gas is enclosed in the cylindrical vessel having molar mass capital in a vertical tube of height capital H, closed at both ends. The tube is accelerating upwards. The tube is accelerating vertically upwards with acceleration g. The vessel is accelerating upwards with acceleration g. Then the ratio of the pressures at the bottom and the midpoint of the tube. So here suppose here y is equal to 0, say here y is equal to capital H. At the midpoint means exactly here y is equal to h by 2. So what is the ratio between the pressure at the bottom? Pressure at the bottom is say P1. Here pressure at this point. At the bottom of the vessel, what is the pressure exerted by the gas? That is P1. At the middle, what is the pressure of the gas? P2. If it is at rest, then the entire vessel is having uniform pressure. If the vessel is at rest, then the entire vessel is having uniform pressure. But it is moving with certain acceleration upwards. That's why the pressure changes occurs. Okay, what is the pressure at this point and what is the pressure at this point? Okay, the ratio between these two they ask. Pressure at bottom P1, pressure at middle P2. The ratio between these two is equal to question mark. That is the problem. Okay. So here, whenever the vessel is moving upwards here, the gas is coming down now because of with respect to vessel, the gas seems to be moving downwards. Due to that, the pressure here is more and pressure here is less and pressure here is very small. The pressure at the top means initially whenever the vessel is at rest, the pressure of the gas is P0. That's why pressure at the top is equal to P0 itself. Because just below the closed end of the cylindrical vessel, pressure here does not change. So that is P0. But as long as we coming down, the pressure gradually increases. So what about here? Because of acceleration of the vessel in upward direction, what is the, you have to find the pressure here. First you find what is the pressure at this point due to small element constraint, because the density is not uniform. If the vessel is at rest, the density of the gas is uniform entire its volume. But as the vessel is moving upwards with certain acceleration, because of pseudo force, the air particles try to come down. Due to that, the pressure here is more and pressure here is less. Here pressure is same, original pressure only. That's the P0. Pressure at the top is given as P0. Now in this case, in order to, as the gas is having different densities at different points, you consider the small element. You consider small element at a depth y having thickness dy. You consider the small element. Due to that small element, what is the pressure exerted at this point? So pressure exerted at this point due to small element dp is equal to, suppose the density of the gas here is a rho. Density of the gas is rho is the density. Density at depth y. Y depth lo density, so density of the gas ikkada rho anukondi. Okay, now what is the force exerted by that element on the force exerted? Here suppose the area of cross section of the vessel is a capital A. Area of cross section. Area of cross section of vessel. Okay, now pressure exerted by the element on the bottom of the vessel is equal to H rho 0. Pressure at this pressure due to this element at the bottom is equal to H rho 0. Depth of the air column dy into density rho, H rho into g. What is the g value? Acceleration due to gravity acts downwards, and as the vessel is moving upwards, then with respect to vessel, what is the acceleration of this element? With respect to vessel, what is the acceleration of the element as the vessel is moving upwards? G plus A, no? H rho into effective acceleration we have to write. G effective we have to write. G effective. That is equal to dy into density rho into effective acceleration G plus A. While moving upwards, if it is coming down, G minus A we have to write. If it is coming down, we have to write G minus A. Okay. So this is equal to dy. What about dy into rho into G plus Z means 2Z, since A is equal to Z. Okay, therefore 2Z rho into dy. But is the rho is constant? Is rho is constant? It is not constant. It is variable now. Rho is not constant. Density of the gas is not constant, because when it comes down, as the air layers are pushed downwards because of pseudo force, the density of the air at the bottom is more. That's why density is not constant. That's why you have to convert this rho in terms of another parameters. From ideal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT. N means mass by molecular weight into RT. That implies P is equal to mass by volume is density, no? Density by Kaplan into RT. Since density is equal to mass by volume. Okay, from this rho is equal to how we can write? That implies rho is equal to PM by RT we can write, no? Now we substitute here. Therefore, this is a equation 1. It is 2. 2 in 1. Pressure dP is equal to pressure due to element acts at the bottom is equal to pressure due to all the gaseous layers. You find the pressure here and you add them. That gives answer. Okay, that's why dP is equal to pressure due to element acts at the bottom is equal to 2Z rho into dy. 2Z rho means Pm by RT into dy. Okay, this is the this is the pressure due to element acts at the bottom. Pressure due to element acts at the bottom. But so from this you write dP by, you bring this P to left. That is equal to 2Z Kaplan by RT is constant only, no? G is constant at the place. Temperature of the gas is maintained constant. So temperature constant. Temperature constant, molecular mass constant. So everyone is constant except this dy. Okay, now integrate on both sides. Integrate on both sides. Because ask the pressure only, no? Here, when y is equal to 0, y is equal to 0 means here, the pressure is P not given. When y at the bottom means when y is equal to h, ikkadi nunchi ikkada varaku ante h kada. When y is equal to h means that point lies here. At that point, what is the pressure? So when y is equal to capital H, what is the pressure? That is P1. So integral dP by P means ln P. Limits P0 to P1 is equal to. Suppose this is a equation 3. Okay. 2Gm by RT into integral dy means y, limits 0 to h. Therefore, ln P1 by P0 we can write now is equal to 2Z capital H by RT we can write now, because when you substitute lower limit it becomes 0. Therefore, from this P1 by P0 is equal to e to the power of 2Z capital H by RT we can write now, or P1 is equal to P0 into e to the power of 2Z mH by RT. This is equation 4. So this is the pressure at the bottom. So pressure exerted by the gas at the bottom is equal to P1 is equal to P0 into e to the power of 2Z mH by RT. Similarly, pressure at the middle. From the same formula here, from this only, integral dP by P is equal to integral 2Z capital M by RT into dy. Limits y is equal to 0 to y is equal to h by 2. At y is equal to 0, pressure is P0. At y is equal to h by 2, pressure is P2. Same, by following the same procedure, if you calculate P2, then you will get P2 is equal to P0 into e to the power of, I think, GMH G capital M H by RT. P2 is equal to P naught into e to the power of mgh by RT. Therefore, they asked P1 by P2. Therefore, P1 by P2. Pressure at the bottom and pressure at the middle. P1 by P2 is equal to what? P1 means this one, P2 means this one. P1 by P2 means P naught cancel. Then e to the power of gmh by RT you will get now. I think this is the answer. P1 by P2 is equal to this by this. P naught cancel. E to the power of 2gmh by RT by e to the power of gmh by RT. That is equal to e to the power of 2gmh by RT minus gmh by RT. When you take LCM, you will get gmh by RT. That's why P1 by P2 is equal to e to the power of gmh by RT. That is the answer. So in this way, we can do. Okay. So what is the pressure at this point? What is the pressure at this point means by using this integration method, we can find the pressure at any point in this process. Suppose if the vessel is coming down, then G minus A we have to write. That is the important one. Okay. This is the another example. Okay, now we have to discuss the second law of thermodynamics. Now, okay. Have you noted? Shall I write this one? According to first law of thermodynamics, the amount of heat energy supplied to the system is utilized in two ways to increase the internal energy and to perform some work. That means it tells us heat energy converted into work. Heat energy converted into work. Is the work converted into heat energy? Means it is not mentioned. And moreover, at what rate heat energy is converted into work? That is also not explained by the first law of thermodynamics. Is the total heat energy supplied to the system is converted into work or not? It could not be explained by first law of thermodynamics. In order to explain that phenomena, second law of thermodynamics is introduced. So, second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. According to here, second law of thermodynamics is explained by different scientists. They defined they defined the second law of thermodynamics in different statements. Okay, Clausius given the explained the second law of thermodynamics, and Kelvin Planck statement is also there. Okay, so here first one, Clausius statement. Clausius statement. We know heat energy always flow from hot body to cold body. Suppose when two bodies at different temperatures are put in contact, two bodies at different temperatures are put in contact. From which body to which body net transfer of heat energy takes place? From which body to which body net transfer of heat energy takes place. When two bodies at different temperatures are put in contact, then from which body to which body, net transfer of heat energy takes place, hot to cold. But exchange of heat energy takes place from hot to cold, cold to hot. But net transfer of heat energy takes place from hot to cold only. No? Is it by themselves? When you keep the hot body, cold body in contact each other without putting external efforts, the net transfer of heat energy takes place from hot body to cold body by itself. There is no external efforts to perform this. Is heat energy transformation takes place, net transfer of heat energy takes place from cold to hot body by itself? No. That is the statement given by Clausius. That is the statement given by the Clausius. Okay. So according to the Clausius statement, it is impossible for self-acting machine to transfer heat from a colder body to hotter body without the aid of the external agency. So here it is impossible to transfer heat energy from cold to hot body by hot body by any self-acting machine. By any self-acting machine. That means without external efforts. If any machine works, that is a self-acting machine. Self-acting machine. It is impossible to transfer the heat from cold to hot body by any self-acting machine. Okay, by any self-acting machine without help of, without aid or without help, aid or help of external agency. So it is impossible to transfer the heat from cold to hot body by any self-acting machine from cold to hot body without aid of any external agency. This is the statement of the Clausius statement of the second law of thermodynamics. So it is very clear. We know this also. By itself, no body can transfer the heat energy from cold to hot body. That is we know. So that is the statement given by Clausius also. Okay. Next, Kelvin-Planck statement. Kelvin-Planck statement. According to this Kelvin-Planck statement, it is impossible to design any engine that extracts heat and fully utilizes into work without producing any other effects. Or in other words, suppose by means of any engine, by supplying heat energy, if external work is done with the help of some heat energy, suppose some external work is done, as that substance or machine loses heat energy, the temperature of the substance decreases. No, so whenever the heat energy is converted into heat energy continuously converting into work, the temperature of the body gradually decreases, and even when temperature of the body decreases below the temperature of the surroundings, even after that also, is it possible to convert the heat energy into work? There is no possibility. So here Kelvin also given one statement. Kelvin statement I will discuss. Kelvin statement first. Kelvin statement. Second one, Kelvin statement. So it is impossible for a body or system to perform continuous work by cooling it to a body temperature lower than the temperature of the coldest one of its surroundings. For any machine, it is impossible to do continuous work with the help of the heat energy taken from the system so that it is cooling below the temperature of the surroundings. అంటే ఏ సిస్టమ్ అయినా సరే అది ఏ మిషన్ అయినా సరే హీట్ ఎనర్జీని ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేసుకుని కంటిన్యూస్ గా వర్క్ చేయడమే జరగదు. ఎందుకంటే when you extract the heat energy from the machine, then the temperature of that machine or temperature of the substance decreases. Whenever the temperature of the substance or system decreases below the temperature of the surroundings, in such case, even for that heat engine, after temperature of the system decreases below the temperature of the surroundings, there is no possibility to extract the heat energy from the system to perform some work. That's why any heat engine cannot do continuous work by extracting the heat energy from the system continuously. Okay, when before whenever the temperature of the system is below the temperature of the surroundings, then it cannot perform any work by extracting the heat energy by itself. Okay, so that is the Kelvin statement. So almost all statements use the same meaning, but statements are different. So it is impossible for a body or system. It is impossible for a body or system to perform continuous work by extracting heat energy from the system, or whenever the heat energy is extracted from the system, temperature decreases. That's why by cooling it to a temperature lower than temperature of surroundings, lower than temperature of surroundings, Okay, here it is impossible for a body or system to perform continuous work by extracting heat energy from the system due to the temperature of the system decrease. So by cooling it to a temperature lower than the temperature of the surroundings. So it is also clear. Whenever the temperature of when two bodies at a different temperatures are put in contact, the net transfer of heat energy takes place from hot to cold body until temperature of the hot body equal to temperature of the cold body. After that, is there a net transfer of heat energy from the system to the surroundings? No. In such case, no work is done. That's why here any engine can do work by extracting the heat energy or by cooling the system or substance until the temperature of it reaches the temperature of the surroundings. Okay, after that, the system cannot do any work on the surroundings. Okay, this is the Kelvin statement. Next, Kelvin-Planck together gives one more statement for the second law of thermodynamics. Kelvin-Planck statement. Planck's statement. It is impossible to design any heat engine that extracts heat and fully utilizes into work without producing any other effect. Kelvin-Planck said that it is impossible to convert the total heat into work done, because when there are two bodies at different temperatures, then heat energy transformation takes place. Net transfer of heat energy takes place from hot to cold body until temperatures are equal. When temperatures are equal, the system cannot lose its net heat energy to the surroundings. So that's why the system cannot lose their heat energy totally to do work. So it is here in such a way we cannot design any heat engine. Heat engine means that is the device which is used to convert the heat energy into work. That is called the heat engine. The device which converts the heat energy into work, mechanical work, that is called the heat engine. So it is impossible to design or construct an engine that extracts heat and fully utilizes into work without producing any other effect. It is impossible to design any engine means heat engine only, any engine that converts that extracts heat and fully utilizes into work without producing any other effects or without the help of the other. Utilizes into work without producing any other effects. This is the Kelvin-Planck statement. Without producing any other effect means without losing heat energy, it is impossible to convert the total heat energy into work. It is impossible to extract the total heat energy and that converts into work without producing any other effect or without losing any heat energy. So without losing any heat energy, it is impossible for any machine to convert the total heat energy into work done. So this is another statement. That means all, if you see all the statements in broad sense, if you think heat energy cannot be transferred from hot to cold body by from cold to hot body by itself. Heat always net transfer of heat energy takes place from hot to cold body only. From cold body to hot body, it is impossible to transfer the heat energy by itself without use of any external help or without aid of any external agency. So that is the second law of thermodynamic statement. Okay, now what is the heat engine? What is the heat engine? Impossible to design. Impossible to design. Okay. Pranit B. Impossible to design. It is impossible to design any engine. Okay. Right. Heat engine. A device which converts the heat energy into work is called heat engine. The device which converts heat energy into mechanical work or simply work. Heat energy into mechanical work. The device is called heat engine. Is called heat engine. Okay. What are the important parts in the heat engine? What are the important parts in the? We have to discuss first. So we know heat engine is the device which converts the heat energy into work. So to convert the heat energy into work, what are the parts we use in heat engine? Okay, first one, there is a source. First one, there is a source. Source means it is the substance which is at a very high temperature having infinite thermal capacity or infinite specific heat. Here, the source is the hot reservoir. It is hot reservoir or it is the substance having high temperature. Hot reservoir or hard substance having very high thermal capacity or specific heat. Thermal capacity or specific heat. Source means it is the substance or hot reservoir which is at high temperature and having high thermal capacity, very high thermal capacity or very high specific heat. If any substance is having very high specific heat, even if you take some part of heat, a small amount of heat energy from that body, the temperature of that body does not change sensibly. Generally, whenever the body loses heat energy, the temperature falls now. But in case of this hot reservoir, as it is having high specific heat or high thermal capacity, because of that, when you take the small amount of heat energy from this source, the temperature of the source does not change considerably. Okay, that is the importance of this source having high thermal capacity. The temperature of that high, the temperature of the source is maintained at T1 temperature, high temperature T1. high temperature of source is equal to T1. It is kept at a temperature T1 constant. Even if you take some heat energy from the source, there is no change in the temperature because of this high specific heat or high thermal capacity. That is the importance of this source. Next, sink. It is also the substance. The temperature of the substance is lower than the temperature of the source. That's why it is called cold reservoir. So it is the cold reservoir or substance it is also having very high thermal capacity. Having very high thermal capacity or specific heat. Okay, it's a temperature. Temperature of sink is equal to T2. No doubt, T1 greater than T2. Temperature of the source is greater than the temperature of the sink. Okay, next. Already I said, whenever hot body, cold body, both are kept together, kept in contact with each other, then there is a net transfer of heat energy takes place from hot reservoir to cold reservoir until temperatures are equal. When temperatures are equal, after that, is it possible to extract the heat energy from the source and given to the sink without help of any external agency? No. ఇక్కడ హాట్ రిజర్వాయర్ యొక్క టెంపరేచర్ కోల్డ్ రిజర్వాయర్ యొక్క టెంపరేచర్ ఈక్వల్ అయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ హాట్ రిజర్వాయర్ నుంచి కోల్డ్ రిజర్వాయర్ కి నెట్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ ఆఫ్ హీట్ energy చేయొచ్చా మనం? చేయలేము. Without help of any external agency. But our aim is we have to transfer the heat energy from cold to hot also. So with the help of external agency only. So for that we use the working substance. So next, working substance. Working substance means here with the help of which substance we can transfer the heat energy from cold to hot also. That is the working substance. Here as working substance we use steam or petrol. Of course, steam, petrol, these are some examples for working substance. Okay, these are the important parts in the heat engine. These are important parts in the heat engine. Okay, source, working substance, and the sink. Now, actually, what happens here? Black diagram of the heat engine I am drawing. Black diagram of the heat engine. It is the source. It is the sink. Source is at a temperature T1, sink is at a temperature T2. These temperatures are constant because these are having high thermal capacity or high specific heat. That's why even it loses heat energy, even it gains heat energy, there is no considerable change in the temperature. It is the working substance. Working substance. Here, as the temperature of the source is greater than the temperature of the sink, then the working substance extract or absorbs the heat energy from the source and a part of it is transferred to sink, and with the remaining energy it does some work on the surroundings. Some work is done. Here, from the heat energy taken from the source at high temperature, the working substance transfers a part of this heat energy absorbed from the source to the sink, and the remaining heat energy, with the help of the remaining heat energy, the working substance does some work, some mechanical work. According to conservation of energy principle, definitely Q1 is equal to W plus Q2, no? So this total heat energy taken from the source only utilized to do some work and to transfer the huge amount of heat energy to the sink. Okay, therefore, work done in this process is equal to Q1 minus Q2. Okay, here by means of this working substance, with the help of this heat engine, the working substance does a mechanical work W by extracting Q1 amount of heat energy from the source. That's why here what amount of work is done by this heat engine. If by taking same amount of heat energy, if more work is done by supplying the less amount of heat energy to the sink, then we can say efficiency of this heat engine is said to be more. If less amount from this heat energy taken from the source, if the working substance does small work and more heat energy is rejected to the sink, then the efficiency of this heat engine is said to be less. That's why how we can measure the efficiency. Efficiency of the heat engine. Efficiency of heat engine. Eta is equal to work done, external work done or mechanical work done or useful work done by the amount of heat energy extracted from the source. Amount of heat energy extracted from the source or heat given to the working substance by the source. That is called heat input. Heat input or heat absorbed, not rejected. Heat absorbed. Work means W by heat input or heat absorbed by the working heat absorbed by the working substance from the source. Heat absorbed. So work means we can write Q1 minus Q2. Here it is W. It is Q1. Okay. W means we can write Q1 minus Q2 by Q1. So it's split up. Then 1 minus Q2 by Q1. 1 minus Q2 by Q1. It is the efficiency of the heat engine. This is the efficiency of the heat engine. Okay. This is also equal to the heat energy stored, the energy stored in the source is equal to, we can write half into, as that here Q is equal to NCV dt, we can write now NCV dt. So what is the internal energy of the given substance at a temperature T1 means NCV T. Okay, here NCV T2. So Q2 by Q1 means we can write Q2 by Q1 is equal to NCV T2 by NCV T1. So here these two cancel, that is equal to T2 by T1. So this can be written as T2 by 1 minus T2 by T1 also. 1 minus T2 by T1. Of course, we will prove that formula. We will derive that formula. So here, this is equal to R. Eta is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1 also we can write. This is the formula for efficiency. Percentage of efficiency means into 100. Percentage of efficiency of the heat engine, that is equal to eta into 100. That is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1 into 100 or 1 minus T2 by T1 into 100. Excuse me 1 minute. So in case of any heat engine, just we have discussed what is the formula for efficiency of any type of heat engine. So now we will discuss one type of heat engine, that is the Carnot's heat engine. Carnot's heat engine. In Carnot's heat engine, the important parts are same. Sink source, next working substance, and insulating stand. Here in the Carnot's heat engine, there are 4 important parts. Source, already I said, it is the hot reservoir having large thermal capacity maintained at a constant temperature T1. Okay, it gives some heat energy Q1 to the working substance, already I said. Next, it is having sink. Sink means it is a cold reservoir whose temperature is constant at T1, and it is also having high thermal capacity or high specific heat, already I said. Next, working substance. Okay, here in this Carnot's heat engine, there are important parts I will discuss here. Here actually these are the insulating walls. It is one hot reservoir having insulating stand. At the top, it is closed with perfectly thermally conducting material. So it is the source whose temperature is T1, maintained constant, having high specific heat. Next, here one more reservoir is there. It is the cold reservoir having insulating walls. అంటే ఈ వాల్స్ ద్వారా ఎటువంటి హీట్ అనేది బయటకు వెళ్ళడం కానీ బయట నుంచి లోపలికి రావడం కానీ జరగదు. As these are insulating walls, no exchange of heat energy between the source and the surroundings or between the sink and surroundings. It is also closed with thermally conducting material. Here it is thermally conducting. Thermally conducting. Here it is also thermally conducting. This upper surface of this whole rod is closed with thermally conducting. Thermally conducting. But these walls are thermally non-conducting walls or adiabatic walls. Okay. Here, this is the sink. The temperature of the sink is maintained constant at T2. Of course, T1 greater than T2. T1 greater than T2. There is one insulating stand. There is one insulating stand. This is the insulating stand. There is a insulating stand. Here, the working substance is taken in a cylindrical vessel. Working substance is taken in a cylindrical vessel. Here, the cylindrical vessel is made with thermally non-conducting materials. Their walls are made with thermally non-conducting materials, and some gas is enclosed in this vessel. And the bottom of the vessel is made of thermally conducting material. Here it is thermally conducting. Thermally conducting. Okay, this is the working substance. It is the working substance. Here, working substance is taken here in insulating cylinder. It is the insulating cylinder. Here, this insulating cylinder is having insulating walls and insulating piston, but the bottom is made with thermally conducting material. So, some working substance means like steam or gas is enclosed. Working substance. Working substance is taken in the insulating cylindrical vessel, whose bottom is made of thermally conducting and walls are thermally non-conducting. That means adiabatic walls. Okay, this is here. The important parts here are source. Second one, sink. Third one, working substance or cylinder. It is the cylinder. Cylinder in which working substance is kept. Okay, that is the insulating cylinder. Third one, insulating cylinder. Fourth one, insulating stand. Insulating stand. Now, how it works? At first, we are having some working substance like any gas or steam. Okay, here first we have to keep this this cylinder, insulating cylinder over the source. Insulating cylinder over the source. When it is kept over the source here, then it is conducting. It is conducting. That's why there is a exchange of heat energy takes place between the source and the working substance. Now, exchange of heat energy takes place between the source and surroundings. When you keep the cylindrical vessel or insulating cylinder over the source, ఈ సిలిండర్ తీసుకొచ్చి తిరిగించినప్పుడు ఈ బాటమ్ సర్ఫేస్ ఇది కండక్టింగ్ కాబట్టి ఎక్స్చేంజ్ ఆఫ్ హీట్ ఎనర్జీ టేక్స్ ప్లేస్ బిట్వీన్ ద సోర్స్ అండ్ వర్కింగ్ సబ్స్టెన్స్. దట్స్ వై working substance takes the Q1 amount of heat energy from the source. Working substance takes Q1 amount of heat energy from the source. And here, whenever heat energy is taken here, whenever Q1 amount of heat energy is extracted or taken from the source by the working substance, then pressure increases. Temperature increases. In order to maintain the temperature constant, the piston will move. So, some action work is done by this working substance to maintain the temperature constant. That's why at first, here, PV graph. For this working substance, whenever it is gas, then for this gas, PV graph I will draw. At first, whenever this cylindrical vessel is kept over the source, as exchange of heat energy takes place between the source and working substance, as these two are conducting. That's why exchange of heat energy takes place. Then by taking Q1 amount of heat energy by the working substance, the temperature increases, pressure increases. But in order to maintain the temperature constant, the gas will expand. So isothermal expansion takes place to maintain the temperature constant. Under isothermal process, isothermal expansion, as the gas is expanded, some external work is done. So in first case, the isothermal expansion takes place. here A to B, isothermal expansion takes place initially. Isothermal expansion takes place at a temperature capital T1. And ఇక్కడ actually ఏం చేస్తారంటే by keeping this cylindrical vessel or insulating cylinder over this one, and gas is allowed to expand. Actually, whenever it is kept over this one, then because of exchange of heat energy from the source to the working substance, then temperature increases, pressure increases. Because of that, whenever the pressure increases, which is greater than the atmospheric pressure, or pressure acts over this piston, then gas expands, and piston is pushed by the gas outwards. That's why some work is done. So here, whenever this insulating cylinder is kept over this one, because of absorption of heat energy due to rise of temperature, pressure increases, and the gas exerts some work on the surroundings. And because of that, the piston displaces in this direction so that the temperature gradually decreases, and again it maintains the original temperature of the source T1. That's why it maintains the temperature constant. That's why isothermal changes takes place, or isothermal expansion takes place in the working substance when it is kept over this one. When it is kept over this one, then heat energy exchanges takes place from the source to sink, and the temperature of the working substance reaches T1 constant. T1. After that, whenever the heat energy exchanges takes place, then gas expands and pressure increases. Due to that, the piston is displaced. Piston is pushed by the gas outwards, so work is done. But temperature is equal to this only. The temperature of the working substance never be greater than this one. That's why at constant temperature only, some work is done by the working substance on the surroundings. That's why isothermal expansion takes place from in first case when it is kept over this one. After that, whenever isothermal expansion takes place after at constant temperature T1, which is the temperature of the source, after that this insulating cylinder is kept over the insulating stand. This insulating cylinder is kept over the insulating stand. Then this bottom is also closed by means of insulating stand. So this bottom is closed by insulating stand. Side wall is also insulators only. That means there is no exchange of heat energy between the system and the surroundings. Okay, then in such case, the gas is allowed to expand again. The gas is allowed to expand again, but has no exchange of heat energy between the system and surroundings. And even then, when the gas is allowed to expand, then what is the type of process takes place? What is the type of process takes place? Tell me. What is the type of process takes place? Adiabatic. So adiabatic process takes place from B to C. Adiabatic process. So when adiabatic process takes place, then temperature falls to T2. Adiabatic process takes place. Then temperature here adiabatic process takes place, so the temperature falls to T2. Okay. Then it is kept over the when adiabatic expansion takes place, then in that case also some work is done and the temperature falls to T2. Now the insulating cylinder is kept over the sink. The insulating cylinder is kept over the sink. Okay, then the gas is allowed to compress. The gas is allowed to compress. When gas is allowed to compress, under isothermal process, the gas is allowed to compress up to the state D. Here temperature is constant at T2 only. At constant temperature, the gas is allowed to. The gas is the insulating cylinder is kept over the sink, and the gas is allowed to compress. When gas is allowed to compress, then under isothermal process, gas is allowed to compress. Okay, then the here you see, when gas is allowed to compress at the same temperature here, the volume decreases and the pressure increases. Volume decreases and pressure increases. So again, after that it is kept over this one, and again gas is allowed to compress. So adiabatic compression takes place, and finally the gas reaches the initial state. In this way, cyclic process takes place. Actually, whenever the insulating cylinder is kept over the insulating stand and gas is allowed to expand, then the temperature of this one falls to T2. Then it is kept over the sink again. And gas is allowed to compress. That's why volume volume decrease now. Whenever the gas is allowed to compress here, then temperature falls. But as the sink is there, as the sink is here, the temperature of the working substance is equal to temperature of the sink only at that time. Where again, when this insulating cylinder is kept over the insulating stand and gas is allowed to compress, then adiabatic compression takes place. When adiabatic compression takes place, again the temperature increases from T2 to T1 and reaches the initial state. This way, cyclic process takes place in the Carnot's heat engine. In this cyclic process, what is the net work done means area bounded by this entire closed curve is equal to net work done. So from this, efficiency is equal to, what is the efficiency? Formula for efficiency is already we know. Efficiency is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1 or 1 minus T2 by T1. Using this formula, we can find the efficiency of the heat engine, efficiency of the Carnot's heat engine. Where Q1 is the heat energy taken from the source. Q2 is the heat energy rejected to the sink. Q2 is the heat energy rejected to the sink. Okay. So this is the working of the Carnot's heat engine. Now we have to derive this formula for this. Okay, based on this formula, you will see whenever the gas is allowed to expand isothermal in isothermal process, what is the formula for the heat energy absorbed, or what is the formula for work done in this process? In this process, we have to find the work done. In this process, we have to find the work done. In this process, we have to find the work done. Heat energy extracted, heat energy rejected. What is the heat energy extracted in this case? In isothermal process. In isothermal process, whatever the external work done, that is equal to heat energy absorbed. In this case, whatever the external work done, that is the heat energy rejected. Because in isothermal process, dq is equal to du plus dw. In isothermal process, change in energy is zero, no? That's why whatever the heat energy, whatever the work done, that is equal to heat energy absorbed or rejected. In this process, as isothermal expansion takes place, work done is positive, that is equal to heat energy absorbed from the source. In this process, work done is negative as gas is compressed. So the work done is negative. That indicates that work done negative, which is equal to heat energy rejected to the source sink. Okay, ఇక్కడ heat energy absorbed వస్తుంది, ఇక్కడ heat energy rejected వస్తుంది. ఈ adiabatic ప్రాసెస్ లో హీట్ ఎనర్జీ అబ్జార్ప్షన్ ఉండదు, హీట్ ఎనర్జీ రిజెక్షన్ కూడా ఉండదు. ఓకే, అప్పుడు దీని నుంచి హీట్ ఎనర్జీ అబ్జార్బ్డ్ ఎంతో క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయండి. హీట్ ఎనర్జీ అబ్జార్బ్డ్ ఎంతో ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ద్వారా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయండి. హీట్ ఎనర్జీ రిజెక్టెడ్ ఎంతో ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ద్వారా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయండి. ఆ వాల్యూ సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేయండి, దెన్ యూ విల్ గెట్ efficiency is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1. Okay, in next class I will derive this formula. So based on this formula, today you have to do the work problems and you have to revise the remaining chapters. Okay, Nana, bye all of you. Time is running out. Okay, right, bye Nana, all of you.